Imagine waking up one day and you find yourself transported to another time period, where the streets you've walked 1,000 times feel so foreign, and the people you meet seem to know things you haven't lived yet. Now, what if I told you there are stories, real, documented cases that suggest time isn't as rigid as we believe? Stories of people who've slipped through the cracks of our reality, appearing in the wrong century, or vanishing only to reappear decades later, unchanged by the years that should have passed. Tonight, we're diving into 11 chilling accounts of time travel, cases so baffling, so impossible, they defy explanation. Prepare yourself, because once you hear these stories, you might just question everything you thought you knew about time itself. In the early 1940s, the South Fork Bridge reopened in Canada. However, this day would be remembered for something else. This strange photo. Well, you see, if you take a look at the middle right-hand side of this now famous black and white photo, you can see a man wearing a pair of modern sunglasses, a logo-printed t-shirt with a modern-looking jumper that just seems a little out of the norm for the dressing of that time. So is it possible that this man traveled from the future to witness this historic day, and this photograph is clear evidence of time travel? If you think that this photo is pretty refutable evidence that time travel exists, believe it or not, there's another hidden detail within this photo that will be revealed in the last story of this video that will leave you questioning what you think you know about our reality. In February 2018, a man known only as Noah stepped into the spotlight, claiming to be a time traveler from the year 2030. On camera, he took a lie detector test and surprisingly passed, telling a story that captivated viewers. According to Noah, Donald Trump would be re-elected in 2028. Time travel would soon be invented, and humanity's first steps on Mars were imminent. He predicted that Bitcoin would rise as a common currency, though cash would still be in use. Noah also revealed that he had a mysterious device implanted in his wrist, supposedly tied to his time-traveling abilities. An X-ray confirmed the presence of something unusual under his skin, but he refused to have it removed. The story took an eerie turn when Noah vanished during a live stream, days after the lie detector test. Later, he reached out to the channel, claiming he had been briefly taken back to 2030 for questioning before returning to our time. His disappearance and reappearance only deepened the mystery, leaving everyone wondering, was Noah telling the truth, or was this an elaborate hoax? Imagine watching a piece of history unfold on screen. Grainy footage from nearly a century ago, capturing a world long past. But as you lean in closer, something startling catches your eye. Something that is not supposed to be there. Well, you see, in 1928, this footage of a woman exiting a DuPont factory was taken. And while predominantly what she seems to be doing seems rather normal, there's a key piece of detail that was impossible for her time. If you take a closer look, you can see that she seems to be holding a device to her ear, speaking into it as if it were a modern-day mobile phone. But this isn't an isolated incident. In another 1928 film clip, taken during the opening of a Charlie Chaplin movie, a woman is seen walking by, apparently engrossed in conversation on yet another cell phone-like device. These mysterious moments have left experts and skeptics alike baffled. How could such technology appear in a time when it simply didn't exist? The footage remains unexplained, fueling theories of time travel and leaving us to wonder, could these fleeting glimpses be evidence of something far beyond our understanding? In 2008, a team of archaeologists in Guangxi, China, carefully unsealed a tomb that had supposedly been untouched for over 400 years. They expected to find relics from a bygone era, but what they uncovered defied all logic. Nestled inside the coffin was something that shouldn't have been there, a small wristwatch, its hands frozen at 10:06. Even more puzzling was the word Swiss engraved on the back. Here's where the mystery deepens. The first wristwatch wasn't invented until the 1800s, centuries after this tomb was sealed. How could such a modern artifact end up in a place it had no right to be? Was it left behind by a time traveler who slipped up? Or could it be an elaborate hoax meant to baffle the world? To this day, the discovery leaves us with more questions than answers, pulling us into a mystery that blurs the line between history and the impossible. In 1932, journalist J. Bernard Hutton and photographer Joachim Brandt were sent to cover a routine story at the Hamburg shipyard. But what was supposed to be a simple assignment quickly turned into something out of a nightmare. As they arrived, bombs began to rain down from the sky, forcing them to scramble for cover. In the chaos, they managed to snap several photos of the destruction before fleeing the scene. Back in Hamburg, they shared their harrowing experience, but no one believed them. There had been no bombing, no air raid. Determined to prove they weren't crazy, they rushed to develop the photos, only to find they showed no signs of the devastation they had witnessed. Fast forward 11 years, Hutton, now living in London, opened a newspaper and was stunned to read about an air raid on the Hamburg shipyard, part of the Allied attack known as Operation Gomorrah. Images in the paper looked eerily similar to the ones he and Brandt had taken years earlier. Had they somehow glimpsed a future event, slipping through a rip in time? In February 2018, a video surfaced that sent shockwaves through the internet. A man named Alexander Smith claimed to be a time traveler who had journeyed to the year 2118. With an air of secrecy and urgency, Smith revealed that he was one of the first to use time travel technology, a part of a classified CIA mission dating back to 1981. But now, decades later, he was on the run, hiding from a mysterious group that he claimed was hunting him down. Smith's revelations were as astounding as they were terrifying. He claimed that by the mid-21st century, the existence of intelligent alien life would no longer be a secret. It would be common knowledge, though it had been kept under wraps by the government for years. And if that wasn't enough, Smith recounted wandering through the streets of 2118, where he stumbled upon the statue of a man named Jamie Oliver, a future president of the United States, whose fate, according to Smith, ended in assassination. The tension in the video peaked when Smith reached into his jacket and pulled out a photograph, a distorted image of a futuristic city that he insisted was taken during his visit to 2118. He explained the distortion as a side effect of the time travel process, leaving viewers with a haunting question. Was this photo a glimpse into our future or just an elaborate hoax? In 1996, off-duty police officer Frank was enjoying a casual shopping trip with his wife on Bold Street in Liverpool. As his wife entered Dylan's bookshop, Frank hurried to catch up, but as he crossed the road, he was nearly hit by a car. Shaken, he looked up and was startled to find that the world around him had changed. The familiar bookshop was gone, replaced by a store called Cripps & Company, its windows filled with women's clothing that seemed oddly out of date. Confused, Frank took in his surroundings, only to realize that everyone around him was dressed as if they were in the 1940s or 50s. The cars, the people, the atmosphere. It all felt like he had stepped into a different era. Then, as if to anchor him in the present, he spotted a young girl dressed in modern clothing. She walked past him and entered Cripps & Co. Desperate for answers, Frank hurried after her, but when he stepped inside, the the store had transformed back into Dylan's bookshop. Later, when Frank recounted the bizarre experience to his wife, she was equally stunned. She informed him that Cripps & Co. was indeed a department store that had existed in the 1940s and 50s. Had Frank somehow slipped through a portal in time, briefly traveling to the past? To this day, no one has been able to explain what really happened that afternoon on Bold Street, leaving the mystery of Frank's strange journey unsolved and open to speculation. In 2016, a mysterious photograph emerged on Icelandic social media that left the world buzzing with questions. The black and white image, taken in downtown Reykjavik during the height of World War II in 1943, seemed like a typical snapshot of the era, until you look closer. Among a group of American GIs standing outside a taxi station, there was a man leaning against a window, seemingly engrossed in a conversation on what appears to be a mobile phone, decades before such technology even existed. The photo, initially shared by Christian Hoffman in a Facebook group, quickly went viral, captivating the internet and sparking fierce debate. Some were convinced it was irrefutable proof of time travel, a glimpse into the impossible. Others speculated that it hinted at the existence of mobile phones as early as the 1940s, hidden away from the public eye. But the real question remains, is this man from the 1940s truly using a cell phone, or is there another explanation? As the mystery lingers, the photograph continues to intrigue and baffle, challenging our understanding of what we think we know. This iconic photo was taken after Brazil's triumph over Czechoslovakia in the final of the 1962 FIFA World Cup, capturing the euphoria of the moment. At the center of it all stands Garrincha, the legendary Brazilian player, hoisting the trophy high as the crowd roars in celebration. But if you look closely, just beneath Garrincha, there's something that doesn't belong, something that shouldn't be there. Among the sea of ecstatic faces, a man appears to be holding up a device that looks strikingly like a modern mobile phone, aimed directly at Garrincha. The sight is as jarring as it is mysterious. Could this be the work of a time traveler, someone who journeyed back to witness this historic sporting triumph firsthand? The photograph, frozen in time, raises unsettling questions. Did someone from our future sneak into the past to capture a moment that shaped football history? The possibility lingers, leaving us to wonder if this image is a glimpse into a reality where the boundaries of time are not as fixed as we once believed. In 1995, Markham became obsessed with the concept of time travel, embarked on a daring project to create a time machine. Inspired by the idea of bending time and space, he began conducting experiments in his home, using a rudimentary setup that included an old CD player and a series of rotating magnetic fields. Markham believed that he could create a time slip by generating a strong enough electromagnetic field, and to his surprise, he claimed to have succeeded on a small scale. He allegedly managed to transport small objects through time. Encouraged by these results, Markham decided to build a larger machine capable of transporting a human. As the story goes, Markham completed his full-sized time machine in 1995 and decided to test it on himself. Friends and neighbors reported that he was last seen entering the contraption in his garage, determined to take a leap into the unknown. But then, Markham vanished without a trace. Some believe he was successful and is now lost somewhere in time, while others think the experiment went horribly wrong, leaving him in an unknown dimension, or perhaps disintegrated entirely. However, soon after his disappearance, an eerie news story from the 1930s resurfaced. It detailed the discovery of an unidentifiable man found crushed inside a strange metal tube on a California beach. The only item recovered with the body was a device eerily similar to a 1990s cell phone. Could this be Mark, trapped in a time he wasn't meant to survive. The question lingers, leaving us to wonder if Markham's quest to conquer time led to his own tragic entrapment in the past. In 2003, the world was captivated by a bizarre and mysterious story reported by a newspaper. A man named Andrew Carlson had been arrested on insider trading charges, but this wasn't just another case of financial fraud. According to the Securities and Exchange Commission, Carlson had taken a modest investment of $800 and turned it into a staggering $350 million in just weeks. The kicker? Every trade he made was incredibly high risk, relying on information that no one could have possibly known, unless they had come from the future. When the FBI got their hands on Carlson, the story took an even stranger turn. During interrogation, Carlson didn't deny the charges. Instead, he claimed he was a time traveler from the year 2256. He explained that his original plan was to make a few small trades to stay under the radar, but the thrill of it all led him to amass an enormous fortune. Despite the FBI's skepticism, Carlson stuck to his story, even offering up astonishing details to prove his claim. He allegedly told the authorities the exact location of Osama bin Laden and revealed a cure for AIDS, which left the agents in shock. But it doesn't end there. To bolster his story, Carlson provided a photograph, claiming it showed him witnessing the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in Canada during the early 1940s. In the photo, a mysterious man in modern clothing stood out starkly among the people of that era. Carlson insisted that it was him, another time traveler like himself. Desperate to return to the year 2256, Carlson pleaded with the authorities to let him go, but he refused to reveal the location of his time machine, fearing the technology would fall into the wrong hands. Then, just when it seemed the story couldn't get any stranger, a mysterious figure appeared, posting Carlson's bail with $1 million payment. Carlson was set to appear in court in April 2003, but he never made it. He vanished without a trace, leaving no record of his existence before December 2002. To this day, Andrew Carlson has never been seen or heard from again, leaving us to wonder, was he really from the future, or was this the most elaborate hoax of all time? With the strange and unexplained phenomena we've encountered, one can't help but wonder, has time travel been among us all along, hidden in the shadows? Are time travelers quietly weaving through history, leaving behind subtle traces of their existence, changing the very present reality that we think we know? Maybe at this point, the question that we should be asking is, what's changed?